My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review for Fresh. And this will be a spoiler-filled review, so if you haven't seen it, go and watch it, then come back and watch my review because I will be going in depth. This is a movie that I don't know how I could talk about without spoiling it. Like, is me calling this movie a horror movie a spoiler? Is me saying that it's about cannibalism a spoiler? I don't know how, it's literally on the poster. So just to be safe, I'm doing a spoiler review. And I heard that this movie caught people off guard with its dark tone into the horror genre. And I just don't understand how that's possible. Like, I understand that everyone's viewing experiences are different, but it is just so telegraphed from the very start. Like, it's trying to be this romantic movie that takes a dark tone, but it never feels like a romantic comedy or anything at the start. It's not bright and colorful. No, it's very dimly lit. It looks like the introduction to a horror movie. So even if I didn't see the poster and I didn't know what this movie was about, the tone into the horror genre wouldn't have surprised me in the slightest. The romantic angle of this movie didn't work for me in any way. Like, just the way it begins where she's on this date and it's clearly meant to be the worst kind of first date ever. And just the way the other guy was acting, he was so douchey and way too over the top to actually feel like a real human. And of course, they gave him the name Chad, so that was very obvious. And then she meets Sebastian Stan's character, and she's giving the whole speech about how she doesn't believe in true love. It just uses every cliche in the book, and cliches themselves aren't a bad thing. I love movies like The F Word and Crazy Stupid Love and Friends with Benefits. Those movies are all very cliche, but the main actors have enough charm, charisma, and chemistry that you get invested in the romantic story being told and you don't care as much. Romantic movies, more than anything, are dependable on the performances and the chemistry between them. And the two main actors and their chemistry, I didn't buy for a single second. Even if he wasn't a complete psychopath, I just didn't buy any of the chemistry between them. Daisy Edgar-Jones is fine in this movie. I wouldn't say that it's a star-making performance. I wouldn't say she's great, but to say she's bad does feel like I'm being a bit too mean though. She's fine for what the movie required her to do. Sebastian Stan, I thought he was really good in I, Tonya, but in almost every other movie that he's in, he just doesn't impress me. I think he's a very bland, underwhelming actor, and that's definitely the case here. Like, he should have gone bigger with his performance. Like, he's this evil psychopath who eats people, but he just like walks around all chill and such, and it's not an interesting direction to take this character. If you're going to be the evil psychopath, then like just go for it. Bring something to that performance that allows it to stand out, and he just doesn't, and that's on both him, the writing, and the director. I said both and referred to three things, but you know what I mean. Speaking of the directing, this movie is directed by Mimi Cave, and I think she did a really bad job. And I think one of the biggest issues with this movie is that it just looks far too clean and modern. I know it's a direct to streaming movie, but that's exactly what it looks like, and it doesn't fit this kind of tone at all. Like, if you watch a movie like Saw, that movie just looks and feels gross and dirty and grungy, and you get more invested in it because of that. But even the room that the main character is getting held in just looks like this nice little hotel room. Like, if she wasn't handcuffed to the wall, it doesn't look like that bad of a room to be in. Like, if I had to be held captive in any room, this room wouldn't be a bad pick. So that clean look of the movie doesn't work for me. And then it's just lacking in any bit of tension. It doesn't build tension in any way. There's no big shocking moments. It's just a consistently blandly directed movie. And the entire cannibalism angle of this movie just isn't effective at all. It felt like an afterthought more than anything else. It felt like, okay, what can we add to this movie to make it really gross and to make it stand out? And they're just like, cannibalism, and they just don't explore it in any way. Like, they're eating these meals, and they tell you it's human, but you don't really feel like it is. I'm not saying I have to see the food get made, but they should have done something extra with it so you can feel the weight of it a bit more. Like she's talking to that one other girl through the wall, and then what if when she's eating one meal, he's like, oh, that's Brittany or whatever her name was. And you're just like, oh my god. Or that's Molly, her friend. Like you'd be like, oh my goodness. Like you don't have to see it, but the idea of it just is so terrifying. But you just never feel like that. Like, even if you watch a show like Hannibal, which is absolute perfection, love that show. There's one episode in season 2 where Lawrence Fishburne is at Hannibal's house at a party, and he just picks up something of food, and he just looks at it. And you can just tell that he's thinking, is this human? Is it not? And just you get more chills from that one scene alone that you do in this entire movie. And the entire plot of a woman being held captive against her will, I'm just sick of at this point. There's so many movies with a similar premise, especially in the past few years, and I'm just done with it. You know, time to come up with some new plots. Like, there's a movie that came out a few years ago called Villains, and it has similarities to this movie, but it's a much better movie, and part of that is the performances of Bill Skarsgård and Mae Kim-in-Woo. You've got a movie like Split, which has a similar premise, but you've got the added element of James McAvoy's performance in the split personalities. 10 Cloverfield Lane, there's no additional element that allows it to stand out. It's just really well made. One, you've got the wheelchair element in the entire story between the mom and her daughter. Misery was like the first one, I think, or one of the earlier ones. So there's been plenty of movies with this kind of plot, and there's just nothing about this one that allows it to stand out. They think the cannibal angle would allow it to stand out, but it doesn't. It feels like just another one. So in the end, there's just nothing about this movie that allows it to stand out. And I feel like they could have dug into the character's psychological state a bit more. There's another movie that did this recently called Pet, and it's a very disturbing movie. Like, very disturbing. But it's also a very underrated flick, I find. And if they dug into the psychological element of these characters and their messed up relationship, there could have been something interesting there, but no. Like, you spend all this time with these characters, and I just feel like I know nothing about them. I know she doesn't like going out and dating. I know that he eats people. And that's all I know. These are very boring characters. And this movie also does something that a lot of horror movies do these days, and it takes itself way too seriously. This is a 2-hour-long movie when it didn't need to be. It moves at a very slow pace, and it's about this girl being held captive and this guy who eats people. That is the plot. There is no need to approach this story in this kind of way. If you're not going to be something brand new or fresh or something really exceptional with a great script, then at least have fun with it. But this movie doesn't even have fun with this messed up premise. And it's just like, there's not an ounce of life or personality into this movie. And the last act of this movie was absolutely horrendous. Like, these girls who have not only been psychologically tortured for who knows how long, but they've also had like body parts literally cut off of them. And she opens their doors and they're just handcuffed to the wall and they just get up and they're all fine and dandy. They don't look like they've been there for a long time. They don't look messed up or disturbed. And just instantly, you're just pulled out of the moment. You're just like, wait a second, shouldn't they look more beat up, more dragged down? Like, the other girl didn't even know that Molly was the name of the person in the cell next to hers. And Molly just wakes up like that and she's fine to go, but she didn't say or yell or anything before. It just comes across awfully contrived. And then they get the upper hand on him time and time again, and they just run away without killing him, which, okay, fine, that's a typical horror trope. But it just feels like 20 minutes where they were running away from him in the woods, and it just dragged on, and it wasn't effective, it wasn't tense, it wasn't thrilling, it was just trying way too hard. And the fact that the bartender friend got there hold Sebastian Stan's character, firing a gun, letting out Noah's name, and then he goes like, nope, I've seen enough movies to do that. It's like it's trying to be this self-aware moment, this self-aware, hilarious moment, but it just pulls you right out of it. And then when he actually drives away and he doesn't do anything, I'm just like, wait, what? Did he actually just do that? My goodness, like, what a terrible person, what a terrible friend. Like, you sacrifice character for a comedic beat and you never do that. That's just bad writing. And I couldn't have cared less about Sebastian Stan's wife. Like, that character and that entire relationship was severely underdeveloped. And then it tries to end on a note of, this could be you. And then just, trying to put the feel that any guy you go on a date with could be this psychopath cannibal. But that's reliant on the fact that the first act of this movie carried into this end. By the end of this movie, you don't think about the first act anymore. It felt like just the setup to get to where we are now. The romantic angle of this movie doesn't resonate with you in any way because there's nothing exceptional about it. Not about the writing, not about the characters, not about the chemistry. So to loop back to that just didn't work for me at all. I just think this movie needed a better structure, a similar structure to the movie Get Out, which I think is just a brilliant horror movie, because the first hour of that movie is the setup, and it sets everything up so perfectly. It just eases into it eases the audience into this uncomfortable atmosphere, and then it just goes in this horrific tone, which is beyond effective, and it's tense and thrilling and terrifying. And I feel like this movie should have taken notes from that one. If the first hour of this movie was like a traditional rom-com, and everything's happy and joyful, and this girl who never thought she'd find love meets this guy, and they decide to go on this weekend trip together, and then he starts feeding her food, and there's something about the food that tastes a bit different, and she starts to have her suspicions until the last act is when it turns into a horror movie, only for a half hour. That to me just seems like it would be better in every possible way, because the movie we got here is poorly paced, structured, directed, it's lacking any bit of tension, the romantic angle doesn't feel relevant at all by the end, and what we get is an absolute mess. I know lots of people were praising this movie, but I don't get it at all. It's terribly written, with boring, uninteresting characters, with fine performances, but nothing about them that really allow the characters to stand out. A cliche plot that we've seen time and time again that's not at all effective. There's nothing about this movie that worked for me. I really couldn't have cared less about this movie, so I'm going to go ahead and give Fresh a 2 out of 10. This movie is not getting a Fresh rating from me. Yeah, see what I did there? But have you seen Fresh? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.